Good day, everyone. We are going to be starting, the next geographical location in Nigeria, which is the northern part of the country, in this series. So this is series 7 of Farm to Export. We've actually gone through all the regions in the south, and now we've started for the north. So for this northern part, our first regional geographical location we are going to be looking at is Northwest. So we are going to be discussing export opportunities in northwestern part of Nigeria, So as you know, Farm to Export is brought to you by Toby Deli International, the Lagos School of Export Management, and AGX Group. So let's go into our class. Uh, So in Nigeria, the northwestern part includes Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. So like we already know that these regions, I mean the north in general now, is one region in the country where you have a lot of um, farmers. There's a lot of farmers, and this is where majority, let me say, majority of our food come from. That's actually where majority of our food come from the north in Nigeria. Not like the south doesn't produce food or can't feed itself. The south also produce a lot of food, but just that because of the weather conditions and the soil conditions, uh, mainly a lot of the areas, in farmable areas, in the north actually yields good exportable crops. So when we are talking about soybeans, sesame seeds, um, millet, sorghum, cowpeas, sugarcane, maize, so beans, even rice. So most of these commodities they come from the north. They come from the north. So that's actually one of the things about the north. So you see a lot of exporters, active exporters going to Kaduna, going to Kano, um, going to Jigawa, going to Sokoto, Katsina, all these states just to buy commodities. So just as you see me also, it's not all the time I'm in the office, it's not all the time I'm taking classes or doing research or all that. So sometimes I'm on a traveling spree, to the north just to get a particular commodity that I want to export to my client. Sometimes it could be metals, it could be forest products, and it could be livestock products, and it could also be agricultural products, even though for these farm to export, we are looking more into agricultural products that farmers harvest from their farm. But one thing that you need to just understand is that right now, because of the situations in the country right now, some of us are not really able to travel as such anymore. The way we used to travel before. So before now, like me, for instance, uh, there are some export contracts that we can't even fill in right now because where we actually buy the commodities, where we buy the products, we can't really travel down there anymore due to the banditry and insurgency and kidnapping here and there in the northern part of the country, and so that's one reason. So, but that doesn't stop us from exploring our class today. That doesn't stop us from looking at the export opportunities and what a farmer can actually get. Maybe you are looking at, one of the some of the benefits of the farm to export series is even if you just decide now that you actually want to start your own farm, or maybe you already started the farm but you are looking at how you can break into the global market. This is one area, this is one way in which you can actually achieve that. So there's no seaport in the northern part of the country, really. So it's not like in the south where we have the Calabar, where we have seaports in Calabar, we have in Lagos, we have in Port Harcourt, we have in Delta, in different southern region of the country. But in the north, we don't really have seaports, but we have some international airports. In fact, the northwestern part of Nigeria has the most international airports. When you look at it, they have the most international airports. Airports like the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, uh, Kaduna International Airport, Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. We have the Sadiq Abubakar. Three international airports. We have the Kebbi International Airport, which is also known as Sir Ahmadu Bello International Airport. So if you are in the north in general, since maybe the busiest, since we can say that the busiest airports in in the north is in the northwestern part, so you can just focus on you know you can just focus on actually using the airports in the northwestern area of the country, so that it doesn't mean that because you are maybe you are in northeast or you are in north central, it doesn't mean you can't also export your harvest, or you can't export products from your region. Also, there are several things that, in fact, the that land is just abundant. It's just too blessed for commodities to be exported. So you can ship your commodities through these airports in the north, except it's a must. There's no reason to come to Lagos at all. Like in the southern region, one of our classes, I was still advising people that they can come to Lagos if they can't use where they actually are, so they can actually move to Lagos. But when you're in the north, it's just better you play your game or your business from the north. So yeah, one of the busiest airports in the north is the uh, Aminu Kano International Airport. It's a very busy airport that has all the offices of the operational partners that we'll also still talk about in one of the slides to come. So let's take a look into the states in this region and their export opportunities in terms of agricultural commodities and livestock that we can export out of the country, that you as a farmer can actually plant for export. So Jigawa State, and now for Jigawa, we have dates, we have hibiscus, there's gum arabic, and there's sesame. Uh, for livestock and meat, there's cattle and there's goats. So which means that these products, you can actually just focus on containerized export for them, like the dates, like the hibiscus. The dates has different varieties, different species. The Arabic, and the Nigerian, different species. So you need to understand the species of date that you are planting and what is actually required in the market. So if possibly, it's it would be a great idea to actually have a specification on ground that you are working towards, or something that you are working towards in that line. And for the livestock and meat, I know that in the northern area of the country, we have a lot of people selling kilishi, the meat that has been processed. So you can actually look into something like creating a product around that meat that has been processed, dried, that it can stay for months, without getting spoiled, and you can find a way to export that. Uh, from Jigawa, we go to Kaduna. So in Kaduna, you can plant and export maize, yam, rice, guinea corn, soybeans, peanuts. So peanuts also groundnuts. So you can plant all these. You can export them if you want. And livestock also, you have cattle, you have goats that you can process and export. Okay, so One thing about farm to export is that we are really not looking at a containerized kind of export. So we are just looking at a mini form of export, whether so that it helps you as a farmer, you even if your farm is just in your backyard, or maybe your farm is just on a plot of land or two plots of land or an acre of land, or maybe it's a commercial thing. So whatever the quantity or the volume of your project of your farm, you can still make your export happen from there. So that's one thing about the farm to export class. So our next state is Kano State. So if you look at Kano State, in Kano you can plant groundnut, cotton, onions, tobacco, indigo, wheat, gum arabic, millet, sorghum, beans, cowpeas, maize. Sometimes farmers, you might be a little bit confused about the crop that you should go into, or you might actually want to be asking the question that, okay, what can I actually plant? Or can you give me examples of commodities that I can plant that and you are sure that they sell? That they sell very fast. If I go into planting this, it's very sure that I'll get buyers for it. So I can assure you of maize. For instance, maize is a general commodity that moves all the time. Once you have dried maize in your warehouse, that can fill a container, 5 containers, 10 containers, you always get buyers for maize. You get buyers for groundnut also. For groundnut also. Excuse me. For groundnut also. So you just need to understand the kind of specification that is needed for groundnut. Uh, for the groundnut is usually there's a species that is usually requested for the Java species. So it's called Java. So you just need to understand that one for the groundnut. Then some wheat is also a very good one. Just that most of the time, even in Nigeria here, we consume our own our own wheat. Then we have poultry, we have goat, and we have cattle. So if you look at it, Kano is like the center of agricultural commodities. I'm talking about the trading part now. So a lot of states in the north, bring all their commodities to Kano, to the Kano to markets. There are very different markets in Kano where you can get different commodities. So whatever contract you have, as far as it's an agricultural commodity, you can always check Kano to see if they have, if you can send someone, and if you can't, you can just reach out to a merchant over there that can help you to check that can help you to check out for the commodity prices and help in negotiations, you know, and all things that can lead up to a successful transaction. So the next state is Katsina. So in Katsina, we can get millet, there's guinea corn, groundnuts, cotton, maize, beans, rice, and wheat. And for the livestock, we have poultry and we have cattle. So, when you look at it, from millet, guinea corn, groundnuts, cotton, maize, beans, rice, and wheat. So, by the time you also try to do your research about going into this state, you might actually find that they even have more or better crops than this. Even as a farmer, you can even do more, or you can even plant more in that space at the end of the day. So that could also be another thing that you can discover in that place too. So then from Katsina, we have Kebbi. So in Kebbi State, you can plant, you can harvest, you can export millet, sorghum, cowpea, groundnut, cotton, cassava, sesame, maize, and rice. So from Kebbi, these are some of the opportunities that you can take advantages that you can leverage on in Kebbi State. And from for the livestock and meat, you can just do cattle and goats, sheep also, and you can go into poultry also. But it's not so easy to export meat uh, to other countries because they also want to promote what their farmers is also doing in the livestock industry too. Most especially Europe. Europe doesn't take anything. Chicken, beef, it's usually rejected. You can find some of these lists of items rejected from other countries, rejected from other countries around the world that you can't actually export. You can find them in my book, A to Z of mini exporting, where I detailed, all these into it. So the next state is Sokoto. So in Sokoto, we have groundnuts. Okay, so when I was talking about Kano, I didn't mention that Kano has one of the busiest airports in the country. So if you are a farmer in Kano and you are very keen on mini exporting your harvest, you have a huge advantage for Kano because you have the airport just around you. Now for Sokoto also, it's also the same. Sokoto also has a functioning and good international airport that you can leverage, that you can make use of to your advantage. So in Sokoto, you can get groundnut, cotton, rice, sorghum, millet, cowpea, cassava, and sugarcane. So these are crops that you can plant. These are crops that you can start cultivating, for export, primarily for export purposes. So as a merchant or as a trader, you can also make use of this information just to know where you can get some commodities uh, around the country, just to know where you can get millet, for instance, to know where you can get sorghum, where can you get maize, where can you get, and some of these commodities also they are produced in every part of the north, but just that you get them in some areas more than in some areas like that. So this gives you an edge, even if you just want to be trading commodities locally and not for export. So for the next state, we are looking at Zamfara State. In Zamfara State, can start your farm with millet, sorghum, maize, cowpea, groundnut, cotton, soybean. So if you look at the about the few states that we've considered uh, in the northwest region now, so you see that the crops are like almost the same. All of them are like almost the same thing. For livestock and meat, we also have cattle and we have goats and we have goats. So, okay, from there, we'll look at the exportable products to consider. Now, for these exportable products to consider, what we are doing is we are just trying to aggregate all the states in the northwestern zone and looking at how, um, in this region, what are the products that you can really get in a very huge quantity, in a very large amount of quantity for export. You can get soybeans. So this is the region where that controls the price of soybeans in Nigeria actually. You can get sesame seed, you can get groundnuts, you can get maize, you can get cotton from this region. So in northwestern part of Nigeria, so these are exportable crops that you should plant, that you should look into. So if you have a very good warehouse, you can, just start your farm with soybeans. So soybeans is just like for few months to from planting to harvest, and by the time you harvest, you can plant another one again, and you can just process your harvest and bag it for export. Then on the livestock and meat section, we have dried meat products. We have kilishi too. So depends on how creative you are concerning your meat product. So uh, it's really dependent on you. Maybe you just want to salt the meat and dry it under the sun, oven dry it, or the kind of product that you actually want to bring out of this, and how sustainable it is going to be, so that you don't just produce something that gets spoiled after a few days. After a few days you produced you produced it. Okay, so from there, the operational structures in Northwest. So now in Sokoto, in Kano, the international airports in these regions, in Kaduna, they all have these operational offices that can work hand in hand with you, which is the NACO. NACO is National Aviance Handling Company, and I know NACO is there. I'm not so very sure of SACO. uh, then the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, if needed, the customs services, if needed. So you get all these, offices that can support, that can help you in that area. So now, how can you, as a farmer in the northern part, especially in this northwest region, how can you really export your harvest? How can you do this thing so that it doesn't look like I'm just, saying theory, or I'm just theorizing or being theoretical here. What you can do is, let's say you planted, let's say you planted, okra. I want to use an example that is okay, pepper. So pepper is a more general product. I know a lot of people around there plant pepper. So let's use pepper for instance. Pepper. So after planting your pepper, because I export pepper uh, to other countries. I don't want to mention the name of those countries, but I export pepper every 2 weeks. So if you planted pepper in the north, for instance, in Kano, in Sokoto, and let's say in a week you harvest up to 10 baskets or more, and you have Nigerians, Africans in diaspora who are in need of this pepper, maybe for their business, maybe for their homes, maybe for their grocery store over there, whatever that they are doing that makes them to need the pepper. So what you do is to, after harvest, clean it up, sort it out, make sure what you've sorted is something that can, last at least maybe a week or more, if I don't know, maybe you've been able to preserve it in a way, but can last at least a week. So you can, put it into crates, the plastic crates where it's going to be airable and all that. Then you take it to the airport. In Kano, you take it to the international airport. When you get to the international airport, you see a NACO office, like National Aviance Handling Company. You see a NACO office, just go into the NACO office, you see their agents. Their agents will be outside, asking you questions about what you want to ship or what you want to send, and you can just, give it to their agents, and the agent will process uh, the freight. That is, they will weigh what you are bringing in, they will weigh it, they will tell you the price per kilogram based on the destination, on how far the country that it is actually going to. So based on that, they are going to give you a price. So when they give you the price, you pay, you make payments. Once that transaction is complete, they will move what you want to ship to a section where they move all the cargoes or consignments that are going, from their company or for that day. So now another thing is, it might not necessarily be NACO or SACO. It might just be a logistics company who is actually working at that airport as a handling company. They are the ones handling the cargoes and the consignments and boxes and everything that people want to ship. So they can help you structure that out. They can help you structure that part of your business out, because that's one area I know that a lot of people used to have issues like, oh, how do I get this done? How do I do this? How do I get this done? So this is one way, very easy and very simple way you can get this done. So what you should do with this knowledge, you should be able to, design a framework of crop that you want to focus on. Like, what do you actually really want to plant? What do you want to do? Then, make sure the crop or livestock has high export value. Soybeans is okay. Ginger is good. Um, share nuts is also okay. So, and you might just want something that you can plant within, that can give you fruits harvest within a month, within 2 months, within 3 months. So research your environment and nearness to ports and other operational structures that we mentioned in the previous slide. Then put structures into place that attract the right export buyers. I always say this, I always repeat it all the time. It's not when you export, it's not at the time, sorry, it's not at the point of harvest. That's not when you start searching for buyers. That's not when you start searching for, oh, who is going to buy my exports or who is going to import what I'm producing. No. Immediately you start planning your farm, start putting the right structure into place to attract export buyers. The reason why I said put structures into place is that most time as a farmer, you don't have that time to be pressing your phone. You don't have that time to be doing digital marketing. You don't have that time, to spend the right amount of time online to get buyers, but you can employ someone. The person can be working for you remotely. The person can be working for you part-time, maybe just once in a week. So you have to just do something to keep, uh, the market you are targeting, to keep it informed of what you are doing in your farm. Schedule your farm process and journey in the sense that partner with all the people you are supposed to partner with, the logistics companies, the operational partners, even your laborers, partners, set up everything well so that everything comes out at the time that it is supposed to come out, and you don't have issues. Okay, so that's it for the northwestern part of Nigeria. So I'm going to encourage you to get a copy of this book, A to Z of Mini Exporting: How to Build a Multi-Million Dollar Empire Exporting Food Stuff. In currently this week, we my company just started procuring another round of foodstuff for a company in Europe, and that's how we do it about quarterly every year. This is aside, a lot of other procurements that we do like that, and which is what tens of thousands of dollars, and I don't want to say too much than that, but I can assure you that annually what we are exporting in the range of foodstuff alone, it's a lot of volume when we look at the sea freight and the air freight and all that. So I can assure you that you can build a multi-million dollar empire exporting foodstuffs, just foodstuffs, things that people eat, and use that to, build your life in the process. And you can start this business at any stage. It's not until maybe you've grown old, maybe you are too young, maybe because you're still an undergraduate or you're a postgraduate student, or it doesn't matter. As you are, wherever you are right now, you can start the business. As a man, as a woman, you can start. So this is just one of the books that I wrote for mini exporting. So you can get it online. It's on Seller, it's on Jumia, it's on Amazon. So just get a copy. It will be sent to you, and you can read through. So thank you, and see you in series 8, in Farm to Export 8.